So what we're going to do, just quick agenda for the day, is do quick introductions of our guests today. Then we will walk through a little bit about Gorgias and their help desk platform. Nicole's going to walk through that, and then talk to Courtney, who's going to talk through how TeaDrops is really managing those customer interactions for their business, and some of the problems that have come up, some of the challenges, and some of the successes from there as well. And so what I like to do, just as a quick introduction for those who don't know me, I'm Jordan Buckner. I run T-Squares and also foodbevy.com, the online community for food and beverage companies. And my whole goal is to help make it easier to take your companies from startup to scale, and providing great webinars, tools, and resources to do so. So if you're not familiar, you can head over to our website, foodbevy.com, and check it out for more information, see if anything is valuable for you. As we get started here as well, everyone who's listening in, would love for you to add in the chat what your company is, link me to your website, and where you're joining us from today. So just drop in and add that in so we know who's here. And then I'll first pass it over to Courtney for a quick introduction. I'd love to hear about your journey personally, and then with TeaDrops as well.
Cool. Hi, everybody. I'm Courtney. I've been with TeaDrops for about 4 years. I had just kind of moved to California and was looking for some part-time work while I got settled. And my mom actually worked with our founder before she left her corporate job. So I came over to work for just a couple hours a week. And then I've been there for almost 4 years, and started with TeaDrops when we were working out of our certified home kitchen to the commercial kitchen. And then now, 5 years later, we have 2 different manufacturers. And for those of you who don't know, TeaDrops is organic tea that dissolves in your cup. So they come in cute little shapes and sizes, and you just add them to boiling water and stir, and it's ready to drink. So there's no tea bag, and it just kind of takes the tediousness out of tea.
That's awesome. Love that. And then Nicole, why don't you give a quick introduction, and Nicole's going to jump into a quick overview of Gorgias and how their help desk works.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Jordan, so much for organizing and having me. We're super excited to talk to you guys today about how to really get ready for the holidays and just how to have great support. I come from an interesting background. I was actually at a startup last year where I met Jordan, where we were reinventing the midi bar, and we were trying to bring really great products to hotels. We got unfortunately hit by COVID, by hospitality just in general. No one was traveling, and so the last thing I think hotels wanted was to implement a new service. So it was great because I was able to build relationships with so many D2C brands. So I'm super excited to be here. And the reason why I joined Gorgias a couple months ago is I just saw there was such a need to have a consumer help desk. And I felt like a lot of my CPG friends could also benefit from it. So I instantly saw the value add. And so definitely excited to talk to you guys about how to ramp up your support.
That's awesome. And just looking into the chat, I see we have Sugar Bird Sweets in LA, Sustainable Snacks out of the Bronx, New York, and Rollicking Buckaroo Pepper Jam in Chicago, which is also funny because the three of us, Nicole's in New York, I'm in Chicago, and Courtney's in San Diego, not too far from LA. So I love that this is a nationwide webinar that we have going on.
Yeah, I actually recognize Nate's name. I think we had a conversation, so super excited that you're here, and everyone else as well. So shout out.
Love that. Nicole, why don't you walk us through a little bit about kind of as companies are leading into Black Friday and holidays and picking up their e-com business, like what are some of the things that they have to think about and consider as they're thinking about managing those customer relationships?
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oops, sorry. Can you guys see my presentation?
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a note, you guys get a month free for joining the webinar. If you guys are interested in joining Gorgias, quick plug there. But I'll go ahead and get going. So how should you guys get ready for customer support? I know it's no news here, but we all know that it's going to be super crazy. This is just an average of what we took of last year. We saw an increase in almost up to 2 million support requests. So you can kind of see the spike here from early October, even just heading up. And now that Prime Day is in October, Target came out, they're going to have a 2-month sale. You can expect the e-commerce sales are going to be booming, or at least your support tickets might be crazy. People are definitely going to be ordering from their home. So your e-commerce sales might be through the roof, and also just something that you're going to have trouble managing. So as sales increase, naturally, support requests will also increase. We saw this trend also with the COVID era. We saw a huge increase in a lot of sales for our e-commerce brands. And so this is just something we saw. We saw also an increase in our customers at Gorgias. We've now recently crossed 4,000 customers. So support is definitely something you want to get ahead of. It's going to be repetitive. So this is another average we took. So a lot of it is related to order data. So order status, where is my order, return and exchanges, and then canceling orders. So those are really the common questions that you have that you're going to have with most of your support teams. And you might not know, or if you already have it implemented, but there's great ways you can actually automate those responses. So you're spending less time on those repetitive tasks, but you're actually spending time on more priority ticket items and maybe someone who's a high value customer. So the other thing here is I want to say, so get your macros in order. So that's kind of what I was talking about with making sure that you have your macros in place and your automations in place. So at Gorgias, this is kind of a view from our help desk, but I'm sure other help desks are also similar. But what we really pride ourselves on is our machine learning. So the machine learning allows you to pull in these specific data points. So as you can kind of see here, if you're on Shopify, Magento, or BigCommerce, what you can do is you can actually pull in these variables. So the street name or the order address, the tracking number, and then if you're integrated with Smile or Loyalty Line Points, what you can do here is you can actually send them back to your website. So now what you're doing is you're engaging the customer not only really efficiently with pulling in these variables, but you're also now driving them back to your website with a promo code. So that's allowing you to drive efficiencies, especially as your support tickets are going to potentially increase, but also making sure you're giving that really personalized customer experience. So they're not asking for customer data that you already have in front of you. And then you can sign it off with Charlie, the happiness department. So make it really personalized. You can, however your brand voice is, definitely use that to your advantage. And I'm sure my TeaDrops can also share exactly how they use those best practices as well in their customer help desk. The other thing is get your automations ready. So kind of how I was talking about before. So making sure that you are understanding what the customer is asking about. So what we've built with Gorgias is intents. So an intent is going to be the intention of a message. So oftentimes a lot of help desks require you to build and machine learn those intents as you kind of build your automations and your responses. We actually have them all built for you. So shipping status is one of the intents that we build. So it's everything related to shipping status. And then here you can see that when the message intent is one of these, is shipping status, and with our integration with Shopify, the last order was created less than 15 days ago, and it's shipped within and is in transit, then we can go ahead and respond to that ticket with that specific macro. So this is a great example of how you can use that automation. So you're not responding to those questions, copying and pasting from multiple tabs, and staying it all, having already information that you might already have in front of you from the Gorgias help desk. So you can pull in that Shopify variable. It's going to automatically detect if that order is in transit, what the shipping status is, so that you're already going ahead and answering with that specific macro. The other thing is get your offers out. So something you guys might not know is chat is also super important. If you're not available on chat, definitely make sure that you're available, because what you can often do is if they're coming to your website, they're coming for a promo code, as we can kind of see. So, having the chat implemented, having a chat bot pop up with 3 most commonly asked questions like a promo code, shipping status, return policy. Now you can already answer those questions before they've even hit your website. So it's a really great way for you to kind of get your offers out. Also make sure that you're active on every single channel. So that includes chat, Facebook, Instagram, email, and SMS support, so that you're targeting all your customers where they might be. not only is emails really effective, but we've seen a huge increase in Facebook Messenger and SMS. So I highly recommend you check those out as well. And we can aggregate all that into one place. So you're not managing different work streams, you're actually managing it all in one place. And yeah, as Jordan mentioned, please feel free to interrupt, ask questions, or type it in the chat and let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. The other thing here is because we integrate with Facebook and Instagram, what's really great is you might not think that those comments, those heart emojis are leads on your website, but they really are. Any of those comments could be qualified leads. So you can go ahead, respond to those social comments and offer them 10% off. What you can do with our platform is you can actually respond to all of them at once. Rather than you having to go through them individually. So we had a customer that also had a lot of return issues. So they used chat, and what they did was, they had a lot of sizing issues, and that created a lot of returns. So they actually had the chat pop up on the shoe page. And what they did was like, hey, we recommend you ordering a size up or a size down, and it was able to minimize returns. So, you might not even have to have those extra support tickets if you just go ahead and answer those questions before they're even asked. Being everywhere. So that omni-channel experience is super, super important. As you can kind of see here, SMS is really great because you can send gifts, you can make it really personalized. I don't know about you guys, but I like getting the texts because I know I'll open it. It actually has a 90% click-through rate, which is again super high for a support channel, and you might not know it. That's actually where you can kind of target them, give them the promo code. Same with Facebook Messenger. As you can kind of see here, what this example is doing is similar to that email upsell, but what you can do is you can offer them a promo code, they swipe on your Facebook or Instagram ad and get the most for those ads by bringing them to like a customer service channel. So now what you're doing is you're pulling in their customer data, you now can engage in conversation, and you're able to pull valuable customer data and drive them back to your website to grab that promo code, but also guide them through the experience. Oftentimes we don't even have insight into what's happening in those experiences, right? So having someone you speak with that's there for you 24/7 or right when you're making that purchase, they're going to help guide you, and you're not going to have to email, wait 24 hours or however long it may be. But now you're able to spend those offers and say, hey, are you having trouble on that checkout page? Here's free shipping. You can give that last minute offer as well to really drive those conversions and make sure that they're having a good experience. The next thing is, so we obviously saw an 80% increase in support volume and 80% increase of tickets or 80 tickets per day per agent on average. So making sure that you have the right support in place. If it's only you, don't worry, because you can lean on technology with those automations I explained earlier to kind of eliminate all those repetitive asks. So you're not going crazy and having to spend weeks to get through your support tickets. That's not what you should be doing. The support tickets should be very personalized. They should be very specific to your brand voice. And also, while we're spending all this time trying to get conversions, the customers that you currently have are your most important. So those are going to be the ones driving retentions, driving a longer annual contract value. So making sure that you're having the right support in place and having the right strategy in place is going to be really key to you driving your support channel and your support team into kind of a sales channel. That's kind of the best practices I'll give you on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I did want to keep it short because I know we have a lot of other stuff to get through, but if you do have any questions, feel free to email me. As I mentioned, we are now crossing 4,000 merchants. We partner with some of these brands like Steve Madden, Timbuktu, Movement, Decathlon. We also work with smaller brands such as Olipop, Lesser Evil as well. So, I definitely have a huge love for an affinity for CPG and just brands in general, so in the D2C space. So I always want to help. So please reach out to me if you do have any questions. We're Shopify, BigCommerce, and Magento partner. And you do get 1 month for joining the webinar. So definitely take advantage of that and shoot me an email if you have any questions.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Nicole. I think that's great. I think as a founder myself, I know I try to take on everything in a very DIY approach. And at times, like, that's great because I have all the control over it, but then things start getting missed when this volume goes up or they become overwhelming. So I think, tools like Gorgias are really great for that. Courtney, I'd like to bring you into the conversation and really kind of talk about your experience with TeaDrop, because I know it's been an interesting journey and from your experience. So would love for you to start off telling us a little bit more about TeaDrops and your customer service strategy that you have.
Yeah, so overall, I've been with TeaDrops for about 4 years, but I took kind of a hiatus in between the 2 years. So for the last 2 years, I came back on and I started taking over the support tickets. At that time, we just had a Gmail box where we were going through and answering emails. We'd kind of looked at other options like Zendesk and other help desks, and I'm very analytical and all about like automation. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to meet with all these companies and pick like the one that's going to be the most user friendly and like the most scalable for me so that I can get my work done. And then, in kind of startup mode, do other things that I like doing. Like maybe it's some design stuff, maybe it's sales. Like what do I enjoy doing? So how do I get my main role done? And that's kind of how I ended up with Gorgias. I think it's scalable. It's very flexible with their billing plans. So you can start with a really small plan and then move up to make it cheaper. And then like the automations were huge. I probably spent the first week we had Gorgias going through and putting an auto response or a macro for every single frequently asked question we have, and then creating tags for those things so that we can just like have a high level look at what people are asking us about each week. So for our team meetings or for my leadership, they can just look quickly and see, okay, these are what the calls are, or the emails or chats were tagged with this week, and like were there any rising issues for us. So I think like Gorgias, I can't say enough good things about it, and I feel like that's why I'm on these calls, is because I think it's the best tool that exists for a small growing business. And so, like I said, I've been doing the customer service for 2 years, and until May, despite maybe having a little bit of part-time help during holiday, I've been the sole person answering all of our emails and most of our social tickets. So,
I was gonna say that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love for you to talk about, so as like what kind of requests are you getting through your email? And like what are those common questions that customers are asking?
yeah, so for us, it's really product specific, but a lot of them will be, where's my order? Maybe it's shipping to the wrong address, or they want to add items to their order, or, remove items. So the majority is order related, but other things are, like what is a tea drop? How does this work? What should I buy? Questions about, we have a subscription box. So really it kind of varies. And our rule of thumb here is if we have a question more than 2 or 3 times, we should have a response for that can be customized to each person, but that generally answers the bulk of the questions so that we're not looking that up or having to type that in every time.
Yeah, I mean that's wild. And then as you look at like when you implemented, a system like Gorgeous, but even like, what's the volume of requests that you're getting in like every day or every week, just to get a sense of like how much actually will come into your desk?
Yeah, so for email, we get probably about 400 tickets a week. Social, depending on what we're doing on social that week, kind of fluctuates. If we're doing a giveaway, there'll be, you know, quite a few, probably 500 tickets or more just in social. But if it's a quieter week and we're just, running our ads and responding to comments on the ads, then that'll be another couple hundred a week during our slow season. As holiday comes, that tends to triple or quadruple just with our volume of orders and the fact that we are more of a giftable product, that most of our revenue comes in Q4.
Gotcha. No, that totally makes sense. And then as one of the things that happens when you get like all these customer emails, I've gotten a ton of them myself, of like someone complaining about a product, or there's an issue with shipping. So what's your approach in terms of dealing with those negative complaints, and how do you turn those negative complaints into positive experiences?
Right. I guess I kind of look at it from what I would want as a consumer. Like when I'm grumpy or upset about something, what do I want? So I want to feel heard. So I want them to know that like they're listening to what I'm saying and understanding why I'm upset. And then I want the situation to be rectified. So if like recently we've had some issues with USPS or FedEx or UPS marking a package as delivered, but the package not actually getting to the consumer. So in those cases, someone writes in really upset. They're thinking like, I've just lost out on all this money in this product. Well, for us, it's like, we understand that these things are happening. We're going to send you a new order. Like, we're sorry that this happened, but we're going to make it right. And that's kind of how we put across our whole customer service is like, we want every customer to have a great experience. We stand behind our 100% satisfaction guarantee. And, if you don't like it, we'll refund you or we'll send you something else to try. And just really, because for us, we're so new, it's like the better experience we can leave you with, the more people you're going to tell about that good experience versus a negative experience that, you might not come back.
And can I
Yeah,
just interject there for a second?
go for it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I like to use this example, but it's kind of like when you're eating at a restaurant, and you get such good food but bad service, right? Like it totally changes your perception of your experience. And I like to use that example because I'm sure we've all had that. And it's the same thing with purchasing online. And one thing I forgot to mention is the nice thing about the automations, and I don't know if you use this, Courtney, I'd be curious if you do, but we recently released sentiments as well. So now you can identify if someone's writing in something negative or positive, and you can actually tag it. So I can definitely share that with you. It was a new feature we released, but exactly for those negative comments, you can prioritize those over like the happy customers that just want to know their orders. Like it's a great way for you to have to prioritize, especially if you're going to get an influx of tickets. Those should be the first priority, right? Those are the angry customers that you have limited time to kind of convert. And so that's a really good best practice. And then another example I like to use is Zappos. They've obviously have killer customer support. Someone recently shared a story with me where someone wrote in about like a Nike shoe that they didn't have. And the support agent was like, okay, we're going to go to a different website, share them the link. And the support team is so trained up on giving a good customer experience that they're like, they will return someday. Maybe we're not even sending them back to our website, but let's send them somewhere else and give them that great customer experience. And I think that's just a great example of like, we don't all have to be Zappos, but like clearly they're doing something right. And I think I would for sure go back and buy at a Zappos if I was like, wow, they're so helpful. Like I want to buy from you, right? So it just totally changes your perception.
No, yeah, that's so true. And, a personal story that I just experienced with T-Squares as well is I received an email this week with someone who received an order that ended up, our boxes were crushed from transit. So, I think USPS probably just like dropped something else on it. And so the email was like a picture of the boxes that were kind of crushed. And the whole email sounded very negative, right? And it was like, I was really not happy with the product, how it was received, and it was crushed. And there's just a bad experience. And so my initial take was like, oh my goodness, like this person is going to hate us, and this is their first experience with T-Squares. But then I thought like, hey, how can I turn this into a positive experience? So emailed them like, hey, I hear you. I would not like products like that. That's unacceptable. Like take responsibility for it. And here's some like a replacement product. And we sent them like a free t-shirt. And she wrote back and she's like, thank you so much. And she was so positive. She's like, I actually found your product because she is like a buyer for her office that's been buying T-Squares through one of our distributors. And she like personally loves them and is a gatekeeper for, hundreds of other customers. And so by us having that personal positive experience with her, and she's like, okay, they messed up, but they completely rectified it in the way that I wanted them to. And so she's going to then become an advocate to sell to other customers and beyond. And so I think there's always that urge when like someone yells at you to get defensive and like, oh my gosh, like this person's just angry. But you really can turn around those experiences to be really positive.
Totally. It's in the power of your support team. And I think that's oftentimes like what we forget is like, you're really the one interacting with the customer day in, day out and seeing what the issues are. Right. So kudos to that, to that team specifically.
Yeah. And then Courtney, can you share any stories about like a customer who came to you that was upset and how you were able to kind of change that around and delight them?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think it happens more often than not, right? Because that's what customer support is for. Last holiday season, there's one that really sticks out. There was this woman who wrote in, her box, like you, arrived damaged. She was super upset. She had written in, she had left us a voicemail outside of business hours over the weekend, and chatted, like just screaming, so angry. So I gave her a phone call. I called her up and I just said, we're so sorry this happened, and kind of, personalized it with her, and like had this conversation, just like expressing my expressing my like just my disappointment for her, because like I wanted her to try this product. It's for a gift. She's not going to be able to give it as a gift now because it was damaged and the event was coming up. So we ended up overnighting her some product so that she could have it the next day. Told her, keep everything that you have while maybe the box is damaged, the drops inside, like we hope you like them, want you to try them and still have something to give to your friend. And then from there, she had got my direct email, and she probably emails me once a month to place another order and to let me know and see how I'm doing and check in on our team, and writes us, sent us books for us to read about tea, and like is such an active and engaged person in our community now that it feels like great when I see her name pop up in the comments answering other customers' questions, that like she's become such an advocate by having that personal relationship and by her feeling that we cared about her situation and the issue and did everything that we could to make it right for her.
Yeah, I think that's so absolutely amazing, and talks about the power of just like communication, because when people have an issue and reach out, it's really because of two issues that I found. It's around either expectations or communication. Like either they received something or didn't receive something that matched their expectations, whether it was damaged product or delayed shipping, and then communication around that. And so many times that, if I've seen that like we were going to have a delayed shipment and was able to communicate with the customers in advance, their response was like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful, like no worries, take your time. It's just that silence and you're not communicating that causes a lot of the issues.
Totally. Like people are coming for answers, right? Like they're coming to your site. And that's why I also think chat is so important. Because even though you're not managing a chat, you're a small team, you can still have something pop up that's self-serve or that answers their question right away without you even having to do anything, right? It already eliminates creating an additional support ticket. So that's kind of where I would definitely spend your time before this holiday season.
And like we recently implemented, so through Gorgias, you can set it up so that on a certain web page, if someone's there for longer than 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you can pop up to them and with a message. So we set it up because we know that people have a lot of questions about our subscription, to say like, hey, we noticed you're checking out our subscription. It ships, if you buy it in this month, it will ship in this month. And like, is there any questions I can answer for you? So like trying to get ahead of them before they are writing in later, we're asking them up front, because sometimes maybe people won't chat in, but they have a question or they can't find it in the page. So for us, it seemed to have been really helpful to be able to just get in front of them and like, tell them that like people are there and we're waiting to answer the questions.
No, I think that's awesome. And then I love that story that you shared about last holiday season. Are you doing things to reach out to customers that previously had issues to like check in on them like a month later or 2 months later or anything like that?
As typically we don't have a full retention plan like that set up, but we do a lot of email marketing and have like a lot of segments for different types of customers. So people who've only purchased once kind of get more nurturing emails and more information about the company, and all those responses come into our support team, as well as like our customers who've maybe ordered 3 times or more get a ton of attention and different emails, and so we try to kind of keep it all different so that it's not just the same email going to everyone, and it's a really more of a customized experience based on how often they're visiting our website or how often they're purchasing and interacting with us.
Love that. No, I think that's good. And then just as a reminder for everyone who's joining in, if you have any questions, add it to the chat either for Courtney or Nicole, and we can make sure to get those answered. Nicole, one thing I want to ask to you and Courtney, if you have any thoughts on this as well, but how have companies used kind of help and customer support to actually then drive like more sales through customers?
Oh, you're muted.
I don't know why that keeps happening. So I can answer that. I think what's really great about driving sales is we actually released a revenue feature as well. So we can actually attribute a touch of a customer support agent. And if they create a sale 5 days within that, then we can track how much revenue they generated. So if you also give a specific promo code, maybe you can measure up like, hey, this support agent is giving this promo code. Let's measure that interaction or that engagement. So you can actually really drive sales that way, because we've shown that if you can respond within 10 minutes of a conversation, the conversion rate is actually 28%. So we actually have data to support that our conversion rate can be higher if you actually just have an engaged person or a conversation between two different partners. So that's a really good example of how you can really operate and try to drive conversions if you're having that conversation and if you're available to speak with them. That's, again, just goes to show, like, if you're looking to drive conversions and drive on that ad spend, like if you're pulling them into a conversation, you're most likely going to control what they're swiping, what they're seeing, and what they're potentially going to purchase, and guiding them with that personalized approach to kind of make the purchase happen.
And that 10 minutes, is that chat or email or both?
Chat, SMS, chat and SMS. So SMS is almost immediate, and chat as well. I think we also saw Facebook Messenger. So anything that you're on right away, when you send an email, typically you don't really, I mean, yes, you can see the response within that, but we just found that within chat. And like when you're actually like on the Facebook Messenger, or on the chat, or on the SMS, that's how we measured it.
Cool.
That's
I'm like
awesome.
taking notes.
There you go. Now I'm teaching you too, please. Like, and we also love our gorgeous customers. So like happy to sit one-on-one with you as well and just like help you with the best practices.
Awesome. And I see Kai has a question in the chat. Hey, Kai, I'm actually going to ask you to unmute yourself if you want to jump on and ask that question. You can feel free to make sure you get the right answers.
Hi, sorry, I'm in my hands up, but hi, I'm just, I think this is great and I would love the service. I just wanted to see how easy it is for us to program the lingo and such on our end when we're trying to customize the way we communicate.
Yes, so again, super easy to do. What you would create is macros, and Courtney, you can probably talk to this too. You'll create pre-existing macros based on the answers you want in the back end, and then you can choose those macros to actually elicit the response. So it's really easy to set up. You can just copy and paste your FAQ if you have something like that set up, and then you can just select from a drop down and say, oh, let's respond with this template when we get in. I can also kind of maybe show you guys like what that looks like on the presentation slide.
It probably takes like 15 seconds if you have your answer.
Really?
And you can click to add like the customer's first name and like to auto populate your agent's name and their order number. And it's just like one click for those little responses.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, oh, sorry, go ahead. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, yes.
These will be your.
When you mention macros though, it like kind of like freaks me out because I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what macros are. So is it something that anyone who's not so savvy with that could use?
Absolutely. So macros are going to be pre-canned responses. So rather than you typing a response, it's going to be, this is already created for you. So see here, this where is my order piece. You're going to go ahead and select that and it's going to populate everything for you. So if you have an answer that you want to respond to everyone, what you can do here is you can actually go ahead and create a macro. So let's go here. Let's create a new macro. And we're just going to say what do you want to title it, for example?
Order shipping dates.
Shipping dates. So then what you can do is, hi everyone, or hi, and then you can choose customer name. Order will ship. And then you can choose like tracking, or you can pull in a date, or you can pull in date. So once you do that, you can also add a Shopify action and say, let's cancel their order. Let's duplicate their order in case they want to cancel, they received a damage. So there's a lot of things you can do, and it sounds scarier, and I know it always sounds scarier, but it's really, really straightforward to implement, and you can customize these however you'd like and create the response.
Well, it sounds like, as Courtney was kind of talking about, there's probably two ways to do it. You're never going to pre-think about all the different responses that you want from the beginning. And so as Courtney mentioned, like once you find yourself writing the same email 2 or 3 times, then you can probably literally like take that email that you wrote and then put in these like macro targets to just auto-generate it for the future.
Yeah, the statistics tab really also, and Courtney, I don't know if you use this, but the tags show, yeah, I'm sure you do, you're a pro. So the tags here will show you what tags are you using, what macros are you using, and what isn't being used with a macro. Is that something I can automate? You can export this into a CSV file to kind of figure out how you can drive efficiencies. So there's a lot you can do with the tool. And again, I of course push Gorgias, but I just think in general, like if you're copying and pasting and you're writing one by one, like that's going to break eventually. So at least do your research, get something in place to understand at least what the landscape is and what the offering is out there, so that you know that there's technology you can lean on that's not as scary as it seems.
Nicole, does Gorgias work with Squarespace?
So we do not work with Squarespace. It's really, so if the payment processor is Square, typically what we only work with is Shopify or BigCommerce.
Okay. But can you use it for, do you have customers that use it when they, like without integrating into their Shopify store, just for other customer support emails and things?
Sorry, so explain an example.
Yeah, so if someone's on Squarespace or another site, do they still come to Gorgias to use the other email functions?
Yeah, you can use any of the functions. It's really just then you wouldn't be able to kind of take those refund, duplicate, cancel actions. But if it syncs with Shopify directly, we go both ways with Shopify. So you can put customer notes in that'll sync with Shopify. Anything that integrates into Shopify, we have oversight of. And then same with email, social. If you would just want to manage it for that, we get lots of customers who just manage email, social, and chat as well.
Perfect. And then Courtney, is there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of ways that you're kind of prepping for kind of additional support tickets towards this end of the year, or things that you're kind of doing in advance to get ready?
Yeah, so we start getting ready. We started probably early September, and just making sure that, you know, all of our standard operating procedures are there. If you know, something comes up that's like maybe, like for example, we're having a lot of shipping delays, what is our procedure for that? So if they email us and we let them know it's going to be, you know, we're just seeing delays in shipping times, they email us again, they still haven't. When do we reship? When or if, or do we refund? And how do we handle that situation? To kind of, which we've created kind of like a TeaDrops playbook. So anytime something like that unique comes up that's happening again 2 or 3 times, we make sure that's listed there so that we can just constantly reference it, and there's no question everyone on the team is giving the same answers and the same protocol, so that we kind of have that set up for them, as well as making sure that all of our channels are integrated and working efficiently and accurately, so that like everything from our SMS to our social channels to our emails are all flowing through and nothing's getting missed. And then also we have phone support. So we've recently shifted our phone support to something that integrates with Gorgias so that it's more scalable for this holiday. As compared to last year, we had an outside tool. So we're just trying to kind of really streamline and make sure everything's in one, because the less clicks and the less times you have to leave Gorgias or, you know, whatever your help desk is, the quicker you can answer. So like right now, our response times are 5 minutes for chat, and then under 4 hours for email, Monday through Friday. And we kind of set those benchmarks for ourselves.
Okay, that's really awesome. All right, we're coming up on towards the end of the webinar for today. Kai, if you have any other questions, let us know. Rachel, Raj, if you have any questions, let me know. And the last thing I want to ask about, Courtney, is how do you kind of integrate with your operations team from helps requests. So have you kind of noticed any patterns or like, oh, we continuously have an issue with this, and have been able to then pull that back into like the operations team?
Yeah, so we have a stand-up meeting every day at 10 a.m. with the entire team, where we each kind of go over the top 3 priorities for that day, and then discuss anything with maybe operations or marketing that's coming up or we've been seeing that day or overnight. So we try to keep a really clear line of communication between us, marketing, and operations, so that we know what's going on, and kind of vice versa, so that we're aware of promotions that are upcoming. We're aware of any delays in maybe product getting somewhere, or maybe we're gonna run out of something soon. Like, we're running out of packaging, or we're running out of this flavor of drop. Then we can kind of get ahead of it and know what to anticipate, instead of trying to attack the problem after the fact. So we keep it super clear and precise, and just keep the communication open, because as soon as there's a problem, then we're reacting instead of being ahead of it.
Perfect. That totally makes sense. Nicole, any final or closing thoughts that you had?
So I also saw, Kai, you're moving to Woo, and unfortunately we don't have any integrations planned. I would just say, like, try to get something in place. Like I mentioned, if you're a small company owner, there's really so much, like you're doing, Jordan, everything on your own. Like there's so much more you should look out there to kind of lean on. And it ends up saving you money in the long run, rather than having to hire more and more people. So focus on that as your kind of long-term strategy. Get the right automations in place. If you're copying and pasting every day, like, again, that's not something you should be doing. And then always just ask around, ask your community. I think lean on each other to kind of understand best practices. Courtney, especially, like having you on the call was super helpful, so you can kind of attest to it. But yeah, those are kind of my top 3 highlights.
I love that. And then Kai as well, if just we can talk offline, shoot me an email about kind of those e-commerce platforms between Squarespace, Shopify, and Woo. I've used all 3 of them, and actually just moved my website from WooCommerce to Shopify. So I can kind of talk through some of those questions if you're still in the process of deciding. So I've kind of had
I
experience
didn't
with all
want
of
to
them.
say that and throw you off, but I agree. I have a lot of customers come from WooCommerce to Shopify. So definitely hit me up. And yeah, Jordan, you'll send out our email and contact info,
Yeah,
correct?
I will.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks so much for having us.
Excellent. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Courtney, Nicole, this has been awesome. Any other questions that come up, what I'll do is send out a recording of this video along with the Gorgias offer and contact information. So if you have any other follow-up questions, feel free to reach out. And thanks so much for joining us today.